Ethan adjusted the controls on his workbench, his hands moving with practiced ease as sparks flew from a metal panel. The station hummed around him, lights flickering along the corridors, the low murmur of life support systems creating a constant background rhythm. He had always loved fixing things, machines, engines, anything that worked and broke again. It gave him a sense of control, something he didn't feel much of in his personal life. He leaned back, rubbing his eyes. Another quiet day passed without surprises. Space stations were known for their monotony, and Ethan had grown used to it. Yet today felt different. There was a subtle tension in the air, something he couldn't place. He shrugged it off and turned back to his work. A sudden announcement over the station intercom broke the quiet. "Attention, all personnel, a Veyari royal vessel has docked. All non-essential staff are advised to remain in secure areas." Ethan froze. The Veyari Empire was one of the most powerful civilizations in the sector, known for their strict rules and pride in their bloodlines. Royals rarely left their planets, and when they did, it was usually for political summits or ceremonial events. Yet here they were, docking without prior warning. "Non-essential staff," he muttered. "That's me." He knew he should leave, but curiosity drew him closer. The station's corridors were already bustling with officers and security drones, everyone moving with unusual urgency. Ethan found himself in a large observation hall, overlooking the docking bay. The royal vessel was unlike anything he had ever seen, sleek, silver, with delicate curves that seemed almost organic. Banners fluttered along the side, bearing the emblem of the Veyari Empire. The scene was beautiful, yet intimidating. A group of guards approached him. "Ethan Clark?" one asked, his voice sharp. "You have been requested by the Veyari princess personally. Proceed immediately." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know any Veyari personally. Surely this had to be a mistake. I think there's some confusion," he said, his voice shaky. "No confusion," the guard replied firmly. "She knows your name. You will come." The words sent a shiver down his spine. He had never imagined meeting a royal, let alone being personally requested. Reluctantly, he followed the guards through long corridors and security checkpoints, his mind racing with questions. When he entered the diplomatic chamber, he stopped cold. Floating in the center of the room was a mobility throne, sleek and shining, surrounded by a quiet aura of authority. And in that throne sat a figure he could hardly believe. Lyra, the Veyari princess. She looked regal, every inch of her presence commanding respect. Her silver armor was custom-fitted to her condition, supporting her lower body, which was paralyzed from birth. Her eyes, large and luminous, were fixed on him with a mixture of hope and vulnerability. Ethan's mind struggled to catch up. He had dreamt of this moment, or thought he had. There had been a girl a long time ago in a garden on a faraway planet during a peace summit. A girl who had laughed like the stars themselves were joining her. A girl who had made a pact with him, a promise sealed in innocence. If we grow up and no one wants us, we'll choose each other. He had dismissed it as a childhood fantasy. A dream, but now, she was real. "Do you remember me?" Her voice was soft, almost fragile. "I'm the disabled alien princess you once chose as your partner." Ethan's throat went dry. His mind raced through images long buried, hidden gardens, laughter, secret promises, and the warmth of a tiny hand in his own. He remembered her smile, the way she had trusted him without question, the feeling that even as a child he had a duty to protect her. His voice faltered. He had no words. "You don't need to say anything," Lyra continued, her eyes shining with quiet determination. "I didn't come here to command you, or to force you to remember. I came because I needed to find you, because I believed you would come." Ethan swallowed hard, taking a cautious step closer. Every instinct screamed that this was impossible. A human chosen by a Veyari princess, centuries of tradition and hierarchy separating them. Yet here she was, looking at him as if nothing else mattered. Lyra's throne hummed softly, her hands resting lightly on the controls. She explained her situation carefully, the words measured but filled with urgency. She had been considered unfit to rule because of her disability, and powerful nobles were preparing to strip her of succession rights. The only thing that could save her was a life partner capable of standing by her side and earning the respect of the Empire. Ethan listened, stunned. He had never imagined himself in such a role. He wasn't a soldier, not a diplomat, not even royalty. He was a mechanic, a man who fixed machines for a living. How could he possibly protect a princess, let alone help her claim an empire? Yet Lyra's gaze never wavered. She spoke not with arrogance or command, but with the quiet confidence of someone who had waited a lifetime for this moment. "I do not ask you to fight my battles," she said gently. "I ask only that you remember our promise, that you stand with me because you chose me once." That is enough, Ethan's mind spun. Could he really do it? Could he risk everything for someone he barely remembered but somehow knew he had always cared for? He remembered the garden, the soft glow of alien flowers, the sound of her laughter. He remembered the fear and joy of protecting someone smaller, weaker, yet brave beyond measure. And in that memory, he found courage. Without thinking further, he extended his hand toward her throne. The gesture was simple, yet filled with the weight of a promise made long ago. Lyra's eyes softened and a small smile appeared on her lips. "You remember," she whispered. "You do remember." The guards in the room shifted uneasily, unsure how to respond. Royal protocol did not account for a human chosen by a princess to stand as her partner. But Lyra ignored them, focusing solely on Ethan. He stepped closer, feeling the strange mix of fear and determination coursing through him. This was no longer a dream. This was reality. A choice made long ago had brought them back together, and now it was his decision to honor it. Lyra explained the next steps carefully. The Veyari capital was a long journey from the station, and traveling as her chosen partner would place him in the eyes of the Empire. There would be challenges, tests, and scrutiny unlike anything he had ever faced. But she trusted him, and for the first time in a long while, Ethan felt that trust could be enough to guide him. He nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. I'll go with you," he said finally. "Not because I have to, but because I promised you once, and I remember." Lyra's smile grew, and for the first time the throne seemed less like a barrier and more like a bridge. She reached out her hand and he took it, feeling a strange warmth in the connection. The chamber felt quieter now, the tension of the station fading into the background. Outside, the hum of the docking bay continued, oblivious to the small but powerful alliance forming within its walls. As they prepared to leave, Ethan caught a glimpse of the nobles and guards observing him with disbelief. He was just a human after all, ordinary, weak by their standards. Yet standing beside Lyra, he felt an unexpected strength, the kind that came not from muscle or title but from choice and courage. The journey ahead would not be easy. He knew that. Political intrigue, social scorn, and the weight of an empire's expectations awaited them. But at that moment, as he and Lyra floated through the docking bay toward their ship, none of it seemed insurmountable. They had each other. And sometimes that was enough. As the ship launched into the stars, Ethan looked at Lyra again. Her eyes were filled with a quiet determination, a hope that mirrored his own. "You chose me," she said softly. "And now, we face everything together." Ethan nodded, gripping the arm of his chair as the stars stretched into streaks outside the viewport. "Together," he echoed. And for the first time in a long while, he believed that even the impossible could be achieved when a promise made in childhood carried the weight of a lifetime. The stars outside the ship stretched into long white lines as they entered hyperspace. Ethan had seen this view 100 times on screens, yet sitting inside a Royal Veyari starcruiser made it feel like something entirely different. The halls were made of smooth silver walls that reflected soft blue light. Everything was quiet, peaceful, almost sacred. Lyra's throne hovered beside him as they moved through the ship. She remained calm, composed, but Ethan could sense her tension. She was bringing a human into the heart of an empire that judged her harshly. If they rejected him, they would reject her too. Yet she showed no fear. She guided him to a private chamber. "This will be your room," she said softly. The door slid open with a gentle hiss. The room was simple, a bed, a desk, and a window looking out into space. Ethan stepped inside slowly, running his hand across the polished metal surface. It was strange to think that this would now be his home. He turned to look at Lyra. She lingered at the doorway. "If you need anything," she said, "just call my name." "I will hear you," Ethan nodded. "I'll be fine." Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. "You always said that when we were children." He blinked in surprise. He had forgotten that small detail. She hadn't. She started to leave, but Ethan spoke before she could. "Lyra," he said, "do you ever feel afraid?" She paused. Her hand rested on the side of her throne. Her voice was calm when she replied, "Yes, but I do not let it control me. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to move forward despite it." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He nodded again, though he wasn't sure if she saw it. She turned and floated down the hall, leaving him alone. That night, Ethan could not sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of the ship's engines. His thoughts swirled. What would the Veyari think of him? Would they laugh? Insult him? Worse, would they hurt Lyra because of him? He clenched his fists. He wouldn't allow that. He didn't know how, but he would protect her. She believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. That was worth fighting for. When the ship finally emerged from hyperspace, an alarm chimed softly through the halls. Ethan rushed to the window. What he saw stole his breath. The Veyari capital planet floated beneath them like a glowing jewel. Its surface shimmered with silver cities and golden lights. Massive crystal towers stretched toward the sky, connected by bridges of light. Ships flew in perfect formations and huge banners drifted gently across the skyline. Lyra appeared beside him, her throne humming softly. Her eyes were focused, calm, but Ethan could see the faint tension in her shoulders. "This is your home," he said quietly. "It is," she replied. They descended from the ship together. A long silver platform extended to greet them, lined with armored Veyari guards. Their armor shone like polished glass and their eyes were sharp. Ethan walked beside Lyra, trying to stand tall despite his pounding heart. The guards parted as they approached, but none bowed. They stared at him openly, their expressions unreadable. At the end of the platform awaited an elder Veyari man in ceremonial robes. His skin shimmered with faint blue patterns. His eyes were cold. "Princess Lyra," he said, his voice deep and controlled. "You return at last." "I do," she replied firmly. His gaze slid to Ethan. "And you bring this." "His name is Ethan Clark," Lyra said. "He is my chosen partner." A murmur rippled through the surrounding guards. The elder raised an eyebrow. "A human?" "Yes," the elder stared at Ethan with disdain. "Does he speak for himself?" Ethan swallowed his fear. "I do," he said. "I am here because I chose her once. And I choose her again." Silence followed. The elder studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well. You will be judged by the council tomorrow. Until then, Princess, you and your human may stay within the royal wing." Lyra nodded politely, though Ethan could tell she despised the man's tone. They continued forward, entering a grand palace of towering halls and floating lanterns. Servants and nobles watched them from balconies, whispering behind fans and sleeves. Ethan heard their voices even if he could not understand every word. A human? How dare she? She must be desperate. Lyra's posture remained steady. Ethan walked beside her, refusing to show weakness. If she could endure their scorn, so could he. They reached her private chambers at last. The doors closed behind them, sealing away the whispers. Lyra let out a long breath. "Tomorrow will decide everything." Ethan nodded. "What will they ask?" "They will test your resolve," she said. "They will question your strength. They will search for any sign of hesitation. Then I won't hesitate." Lyra turned her head, her eyes meeting his. "You already passed the first test." He frowned. "What test?" "You did not let go of my hand." He hadn't realized he was still holding it. The next day they entered the grand council hall. It was vast, with rows of high seats carved from shimmering crystal. Nobles in elegant robes filled the seats, their eyes sharp and judgmental. At the center of the room stood a circular platform. Lyra guided her throne to the platform. Ethan stepped beside her. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Princess Lyra of House Veyari, you returned to claim your right to the throne." "I do." "You stand with an alien as your partner." "I do." "Then let him prove his worth." A tall Veyari warrior stepped forward, towering over Ethan. His armor gleamed and his spear crackled with raw energy. "If he would stand beside you as a leader," the council voice declared, "let him stand in battle." Ethan felt his blood go cold. He was no trained soldier. He had never fought with spears or plasma weapons. But before fear could take hold, he felt Lyra's eyes on him. He stepped forward. "I will fight," he said. The warrior smirked. "Then choose your weapon." A table of weapons appeared, on swords, spears, staffs. Ethan looked at them, his mind racing. He did not know how to use any of them well, but then he saw something small. A compact energy baton, shaped like a tool more than a weapon. He picked it up. The Vayari warrior laughed. "You choose that?" Ethan didn't respond. He simply clicked it on. A beam of glowing force extended from the tip. The warrior lunged first, spear slicing through the air with lightning speed. Ethan dodged barely in time, his heart pounding. He swung the baton, striking the spear's shaft. Sparks flew. The warrior pressed forward, strong and relentless. Ethan stumbled, but he kept moving. He couldn't overpower the warrior, so he had to outthink him. He began analyzing the warrior's attacks. Every time the spear swung from the right, the warrior's left leg shifted slightly. Every time he thrust forward, his shoulders dipped. Patterns, timing, mechanics. Ethan waited. Then, when the warrior thrust again, Ethan ducked and swung the baton downward, striking the warrior's leg joint. The armor sparked, locking for a moment. The warrior stumbled. Ethan seized the chance, striking the spear's handle again and again until it flew from the warrior's grip. The crowd gasped. The warrior fell to one knee. Ethan stood above him, holding the baton at his throat. Silence filled the hall. Then slowly, the warrior bowed his head. "I yield." Ethan stepped back, breathing hard. He turned to Lyra. Her eyes were shining with pride. The council voice echoed again. "Ethan Clark, human, you have proven courage." Another voice spoke. "But courage is not enough. Will you stand beside her not only in battle but in leadership?" Ethan looked at Lyra. Then he faced the council. "I will," he said. "Not because I seek power, but because I believe in her. She is stronger than any of you see. My strength is not to rule, but to support. If that is not enough for your empire, then your empire is not worthy of her." Gasps filled the room. Lyra's fingers tightened on the armrest of her throne. The hall went silent. Then the elder from before stood. "Princess Lyra," he declared, "you have chosen a partner of resolve. The council recognizes your claim." Applause rippled through the chamber, hesitant at first, then stronger. Some bowed. Some smiled genuinely. Lyra turned to Ethan. "You remembered," she whispered. He nodded. "I always did. I just didn't know it until now." She extended her hand. He took it without hesitation. They stood together as the hall filled with approval, no longer just a forgotten promise from childhood. Now, a future built on choice.